All right, boxing fans, welcome back to Fight News. We are interviewing Evan Holyfield and his new trainer, Mike Stafford, today. Welcome, gentlemen. How are you guys doing tonight?
Hey, how you doing?
Doing good.
Very good, very good. I was contacted by Sugar Burt Wells, and he told me this would be a nice interview to get the fans to know a little bit more about young Holy coming up and the new partnership training with Mike Stafford. And so I said, great, Bert, thanks for the opportunity, and let's do this. So, Evan, first of all, you're the only child of Evander's that decided to go into boxing. Why do you think none of your other siblings did that?
I mean, I feel like many of my other siblings are still talented in many other things. So, boxing really wasn't just the forefront thing going on in their mind. Like my other brother, he's good at football. So, football's always been his thing. And then my other brothers, they're all good at football too. And, one was good at track. But, not everybody, I guess, it takes a different type of child to, really go into an individual sport. That's all it really was to me. I had tried football and stuff like that, but my football teams weren't good, and everybody was always winning everybody else. So I decided to get into something for myself.
Okay. Now, I had read that you actually started out as far as combat sports with Taekwondo. Tell me a little bit about that.
Oh yeah, I did Taekwondo actually before I became a boxer, and I was 12 or 13, maybe when I was really starting to get into it for real. Mm-hmm. So I had this coach, his name was Greg Lloyd, and he thought, he was a good coach. I feel like he's the one who got me into boxing. He really taught me what it meant to be competitive, and really what it meant to work hard and to push yourself at a young age. So I had made it to the nationals, once or twice. And the first time I won, I was number one in the nation. But the second time I got disqualified for, punching people, in the areas you weren't supposed to punch people in. Okay. So my dad was like, you might as well cease boxing at that point. And that's what, really got me into boxing past that point.
So at what age did you start taking up amateur boxing?
Probably 13, 14.
Okay. And you had about 80 fights or so, is that correct?
Yeah, the time I really came up through boxing, they didn't really have the whole amateur record and stuff computer thing until later. So, I'm just really guessing. Yeah, it's probably between 70 and 80 bouts and whatnot. It's not a lot. I went through a couple books.
So what sort of input did your dad have on you crossing over into boxing, both amateur and turning professional?
When I was amateur, when I first told him I wanted to, really take boxing serious, I was like, well, I had my first fight when I was 8. So when I had my first fight when I was 8, I won that match, but my mom didn't want me to really be in the sport, so she took me out and she put me in every other sport, which led me to get into Taekwondo. Mm-hmm. But once I turned to the age of 12 or 13, I know I was going into high school and stuff like that, and I really, it had really hit me that most of the, successful athletes, they all invested their time into something at one point, at a young age to really get them to where they was at now. And at that time, the boxer Earl Spence, he was going to the Olympics around 2012 or whatnot, and he was saying he had started boxing at 15. So when I heard that, I knew it wasn't really too late for me, especially if he had really made it there that fast. I knew it wasn't impossible for me to get good, especially since I was a younger age than 15. I was 13. So, I started taking the sport seriously, and I told my dad, I was like, yeah, I want to box, but he sat me down and he was like, yeah, it may look like fun and games, but, this is, there's some people in there trying to hurt you, and you got to understand that, you're always going to, people are going to inevitably, compare you to me, and they're going to want to do that. So you got to get comfortable with that. And you also got to know, just because I'm good at boxing doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to be good at boxing. You got to put in the work for yourself. I'm not going to be the one throwing those hits. You're going to be the one taking those hits. So if you really want to do the sport, you got to know for yourself that you really want to love it, or you really going to go 100% at it, because it's not a sport to really play around at. It's a sport you got to take serious and really, stick to it. So, he had told me that, of course I looked back at him and I was like, yeah, I'll do it, blah, blah, blah. But, when he started taking me to practice and stuff, I boxed for the Police Athletic League in Georgia, in Atlanta. So it's kind of like in the hood area. So the first couple weeks, or not even the first couple weeks, the first couple months, every time I spar or, do anything, I was, paying my dues. I wasn't getting the best of them. They was getting the best of me. But he had noticed that, through some of those, whoopings or ass whoopings or lessons you would really, say, I wasn't going to quit. I was going to go back and try again, no matter, how the day went. And, that's when he started recognizing, like, I'm I'm gonna
Okay.
let him, better at what he wants to do, himself. Yeah. So, fast forward a couple years, I think it was like 2018. I had did the little Olympic trial things, and he had seen me fight somebody who was ranked number 3, and I had did real good with him, and I really held my own. Then the next time I went to the Eastern qualifiers, I had made it all the way to the semifinals, and I had fought the team captain of the USA team, and I thought I beat him. My dad thought I beat him too, and he had seen the whole other tournament, seen me beat a couple other ranked people, and he had really gave me. He was like, "Yeah, you can fight now." He had gave me his head shake, his head nod. He was like, "Yeah, you can fight." I haven't seen you fight like that ever before, and I think it's time for you to go pro. Since you pretty much at the end of the line this time, and it don't really make any sense to stay amateur for another 3 or 4 years.
Okay, so that's when you decided to turn pro.
Yeah.
So your pro debut was quite something else as far as the platform you were on. You turned pro on the undercard of the Canelo Alvarez Sergey Kovalev fight in Las Vegas. Could you imagine a bigger stage to turn pro on than that?
Oh no, I couldn't have imagined it, but it was certainly a blessing to have the opportunity.
Right. I mean, you were seen by millions around the world, so you didn't turn pro in obscurity. That's for sure.
Yes, for sure. Just have the cards were dealt.
Yeah. Now, Mike, turning to you, you've just come on as Evan's trainer after his first 5 fights. First of all, tell me about your path in boxing, how you got into the sport, and how it led you to where you are now.
Well, my path to boxing was I have a son, and as well as I had a son, as well as Evander Senior had a son, and then I took him down to the local gym. What happened was he got into a street fight. He was gambling, and he got into a street fight, and then the kids knocked on my door and said, Mr. Mike, little Mike was out there fighting, and he put a guy in the hospital. So right then he didn't come home that night because he was 14 years old, and he stayed out. It was in the summertime, and I was looking for him all night. I guess he went over his little girlfriend's house. So eventually he showed up about 1 o'clock, and we had a talk, and he told me who it was, and that the guy was like 21 years old, and they was gambling, shooting dice. I guess he was scared that I was gonna get on him about shooting dice. So, but anyway, I said, well, because I had already taught him to defend himself, cut up and coming. But so he defended himself real good, and I guess the guy was trying to he won the money or something. You know how dice go, but he tried to take my son's money, and he they got into a fight. And he put the guy in the hospital, broke his nose. But then right then I took him down to the local gym, which is called Millville Golden Gloves Gym, which at the time had a lot of champions down there. And I took him down there. It was a real good friend of mine named Mazon Kemp, and we boxed we was up under Buddy LaRosa, which was Aaron Prime manager for a long time manager. So we took him down there. I took him down there, and told Mazon put him in there, and he started liking it, started training, and I was coming every day. And then, I started picking up some other kids, taking them down there, just keep them off the street. So eventually I just, stayed down there, and he needed the help. And I just started, it was wow, almost 30 years ago. So I've stayed down there, helped him out, and now, I've been successful for them. He went as far as he was on the era with Mayweather and them. He fought trials and all that with Mayweather and them. He was around that age, Mike Stafford Jr. And he was ranked in the juniors, pretty much nationals and stuff like that. He won national pal. And he was bronze medalist and silver gloves. And, he went all to the national silver gloves, bronze, 3 times, maybe 2 times, and then U.S. championships. He placed like bronze medals. So, he went all the way up to there, and, he just, after that, he didn't make the Olympic team in '96, when 95 then. He didn't make the Olympic team, and he just got out of it, but I stayed with it, and, and here I am today,
Well, that's quite a transition you made from, just a guy bringing his son down and then hanging around the gym and eventually, so you worked with amateurs as well, right? You were named 2003, 2005 U.S. National Coach of the Year. So that's quite an achievement.
Yes, it was hard work, but I like the atmosphere, and I like the sport, Yeah.
So now you've built up quite a resume as far as champions that you've trained: Adrian Broner, Robert Easter, Jamel Herring, Rushay Warren, and that's just in Cincinnati in the Ohio area.
Right.
But and now you're branching out, and maybe you have before. But tell me how this pairing with you and Young Holy came about.
Well, Sugar Boat Grills is a real good friend of mine. I support him and he support me. We kind of like doing the same thing. We got our own gym. We reach out to the communities and the kids. And, we like a father figure to. So everything we do is the same. It's all the same. So he came to me and asked me, would you like to work with some of my fighters, which involved in Young Holyfield? I say, why, sure. I say, it's up to, if it's up to him, it's up to his dad, it's up to his team. So he said, they was, they was satisfied with it, and they would go with, with me being one of the trainers. And, I welcome him in, because, I got, like I said, I've seen Evan fight in the Nationals, and, I've seen him a few times. And, he was a good kid. Everybody, when they said Holyfield, the whole crowd just, wanted to see, not knowing that one day that I would be his coach,
Right. Well, you already answered one of my questions. If you had, been familiar with him as an amateur and as a pro, you haven't, I'm assuming, haven't worked a pro fight with him yet, but how would you assess, what you've seen of his progress so far, and how do you assess his potential? How far you can go?
Well, he like I said, he had over 80 amateur fights, and he's a hard worker. And he's one of them kids that he's not gonna let nobody beat him. So right then and there, that tells me he's equipped, ready for the task that he had to present into the pro rankings. Because sometimes Adrian never went to the Olympics, and look at him now. He never had he had one open fight, and then he got into a little trouble. But look where he is now, because when he got out of that trouble, he came out and started working hard. So it's just a perfect example. If you want to go to the next level, you just gotta, work hard. And Young Holyfield had that in him. I see that in him, that he wanted it. Not for his dad, not for the fans for itself. You know, he got something to prove to himself. You know, because he know deep down inside he got a lot of weight he got to carry. You know, and just like anybody else, you know, when you in this game, I got a lot of weight. I got to by me taking this stance, it's a lot on me. You know, to make sure that this kid go on the right track. So, you know, it comes with the territory, and you know, you just got to play it out, and everybody got to be on the same page.
Right. Now, so you touched a little bit again on some other upcoming questions. What kind of comparisons do you see between young Holy and his dad, both how his style, his athleticism, his warrior mentality?
But he definitely moves good like his dad. I think he moves a little better, you know, and by him moving a little better, that's an advantage that he's gonna have because most people in that weight class don't move like that. So my plan is for me is to keep him moving and don't change, make him feel as comfortable as possible, and you know, and learn how to throw the correct punches at the correct time, and just work on his delivering punches. That's all I can, you know, teach him at this point because he has, you know, dad been with him, and I don't want to change nothing. I just want to enhance. You know, I don't want to mess nothing up. I just want to enhance everything.
Well, yeah, and I was going to ask how do you approach training somebody like Evan, who basically comes from boxing royalty and has that pedigree already? Everybody knows his bloodlines and his dad. Does that even factor in how you approach training him as opposed to, you know, another young fighter who, you know, doesn't have that family background?
Well, you know, with Robert Easter, his dad was a great amateur, and he had maybe 12 fights, and his dad sent him down to me, and look where he is today. You know, we worked together. You know, I worked with Ray Neal Williams. You know, his dad knew that that I was capable to do the job. And Ray Neal went to the Olympics, and he was always there one time. And you know, but he's not boxing now, but you know, but in the amateurs, you know, he went the right way. Jamel Herring, point blank, he never had a coach that really coached him at this particular level, and we got him 19 wins, and now look at him now. He's getting ready. He's a world champion, even though he's not with us no more. But for 19 fights, we had him, and in our hands had him. It's the same situation. I try to leave all the politics out the window because if the politics play, then it interferes with boxers. We got to keep the boxers. My thing is to keep the boxers positive, and that's how you look at it. You know, you can't get into the politics of this and that, or he should be doing this because every fighter is different. You can't train everybody the same way, but you can enhance them the same way. Everybody's not the same boxer. You know, everybody's different. You know, every attitude, your attitude towards the sport is different. You know, so the key is to get to know the kid and get to see what he like, not what I like, what he like, and then together we can, with Sugar Wells, we can knock this thing out. You know, make him a world champion. Yeah.
All right. Now, I'm going to ask both of you. You guys can take turns answering this. How each of you see the potential, pitfalls and the pressure of being the son of a legendary Hall of Famer like Evander Holyfield, as opposed to a boxer coming up. How does that factor into the mindset, the pressure? The heights that he could climb and the heights from which he could fall. Do you think there's a difference between a fighter, being a son of Evander Holyfield and just a guy coming up, living up to that name?
All right, so you want me to answer first?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. I feel like it's pretty much plain and simple for me. when I first came into this world, my last name was Holyfield. You know, my dad's always been the same person. You know, so I feel like coming up, you just kind of get used to it, I guess. You know, I really never thought of it as anything too special, you know, except for the fact that, you know, the name kind of does open up certain doors and, you know, it blesses you, you know, it gives you, you know, certain opportunities that everybody gets. But at the end of the day, you know, you still got to work hard just like anybody else. Just because, you know, he's who he is or my dad's who he is doesn't mean that, you know, I expect somebody to give me something, you know what I mean? Everything's, you got to work for it. And that's one thing he always taught me. He always taught me to work hard and, you know, really never to expect anything from anybody else because, you know, these people ain't going to do it for you. So I feel like if anything, it really makes me work harder. You know, I have a competitive mindset about me. So, you know, I'm always just thinking about just trying to one up. So I understand my dad did it. You know, I had the same thing running through me. And, you know, even though circumstances and the atmosphere make a person, I feel like, you know, I still have the will to win. You know, I want to be just as good as him or even do better than him, you know. When he got inducted to the Hall of Fame, I went over there and I seen everything. And the one thing I noticed, there's no father-son tandems inside the Hall of Fame. So, you know, I definitely want to push that bar and, you know, and do something new that somebody hasn't done, you know. So I would definitely want to get in there and be remembered next to my dad or, you know, even do better. You know, I believe I could do better if I work as hard or work harder. So I feel like, you know, the work is definitely going to be able to pay due. And it's just about having people around you who believe in you, you know, and who believe that, you know, each generation gets better. You know, it even says in the Bible, but, you know how that goes.
Right. And do you have anything to add to that, Mike, about, you know, being Evander's son and the pressures that come with that or the opportunities or any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, for one, you and I know the opportunities is around, but the thing is basically the media is going to, you know, look at that a little closer because the simple reason, you know, of my background and his background with his dad, and it's a lot. That's right there would be pressure because the first thing he's gonna say is, "Well, is he gonna be a champion like such and such, or he gonna be a champion like?" Hey, you know, you're gonna do this and this and this. So it's really the media is going to be, you know, extreme. And so basically, Evans got to do what Evans like. You know, it's not what Holyfield. Like I said, get back to what I said. It's Evans. If he quit today, it's because he want to quit. He got to be Evan. It's no longer Holy Evander. It's Evan. You know, and I think that's why his dad kind of teach him that way because it's you know, even with Muhammad Ali with his daughter, he stepped back and she you know, she did her thing. You know, he didn't train her. He stepped back. He didn't want her to box, but you know, she took on that task. So it's a name, you know. When you get in the name thing, it's the media that bulks everything up. But when it comes to size and getting in them four corners, it's the individual, and he has to make a name for himself. So that's basically what we, you know, he had to look at. And once he gets over that and realize, hey, I'm a good boxer, I could be a champion just like any other famous father-son thing, you know, then he accomplished that. So it's up to Evans. It's not up to me. It's not up to you know, to Sugar. You know, he has to do that, and the pressure, he'll be pressure. It's just like when a kid comes to my gym and the father bring him in. That's pressure right there. You know, that's pressure because he's dropping off a 7, 8-year-old. Then I got to, you know, make sure that he's groomed up to it 9, 10. That's 10, 12, 13, 14 years. I'm gonna be with this kid. So that's pressure right there. So you know, you got to deal with it, you know, and you got to like, you know, what you do. And I like what I do. And as long as I like what I do and stop liking it, I'm going to be here. But if I stop liking it, I'm gone. So, you know, everybody got to like what they do to be successful.
Yeah.
Sure. Evan, you're definitely, even though you have the same height as your dad, you're definitely a slighter frame than him. where do you see yourself? Let's say you have, a pretty decent lengthy pro career. Do you see yourself eventually moving up in weight, or are you? How difficult or easy is it for you to make 154?
The 154 is easy for me to make. I'm only walking around like 3 or 4 pounds above. The only time I technically cut down on eating, supposedly is the day of weighing. Other than that, all the hard work just brings out the weight naturally. We talk about in the future, you know what I'm saying? Let's say, hold on, what year is this? It's 2021. Man, give me about 5 years. I'll be calling out Anthony Joshua and Deontay Wilder, and you know what I'm saying? I don't think they want it. But I'm just joking. But I'm joking big time. I eat a lot, but this weight just not be staying on me for some reason. I'm sure if I get a dietitian or whatever, as you get older, you start adding that grown man strength and that grown man body. But it's evident I'm still trying to work towards that. I haven't shaved yet, so hey, it's just whatever it takes. I really don't care what weight I fight at. I can't stay at 54 forever. I understand the money's up a little bit higher, around 60, 68. So hey, as time goes on and this defense and this work starts getting better, it's gonna be time to start making money in different divisions. It's clearing it out. So that's what I'm thinking.
Okay. So you've had 5 pro fights so far, starting in late 2019. You haven't had anything yet in 2021. What's on tap for you? Do you know? Does Sugar Bird want to chime in? What are the plans?
I know for sure. I got a fight coming up April 10th on Showtime. I was supposed to get one on March 27th, but they pushed it back due to not finding the right opponent or something like that. So other than that, I know that's what's going down. Then hopefully, my dad's having his card with Mike Tyson. When that deal gets inked up or publicized, whatever they're doing with that, hopefully I make it onto that card wherever they're fighting, and just get to mark something off the list. Not everybody gets to fight on the same card as your dad. So I hope I get the opportunity to take.
Are you anxious or comfortable with the pace that your career is going at?
Oh yeah, I'm comfortable. I understand. Right now we're during Corona time, so things are a little bit slowing up a little bit. So it's all about being patient. Good things happen on time, not on your own time.
Right. But lastly, just closing out here, what advice? You touched a little bit about it, when you were starting out as an amateur. But what type of advice has your dad given you, just overall about the fight game?
I gotta say, probably he's giving me all types of advice. For amateurs, he had amateur advice and he had pro advice. The amateur advice was, always show up in shape and always throw, a lot of punches. Don't be scared. But I feel like the best advice he's ever gave me as a pro to give me, right before my first fight was, he said, evidently there's winners and losers in boxing. You know what I mean? But he had told me there's a way to stay undefeated always, and he said that's by giving your all. He said, as long as you give your all, you really have nothing to fear about it, because as long as you give your full 100%, you can't be disappointed, if you don't get the decision. And and even if you don't get the decision, if you give your all, your full 100%, 9 times out of 10, a good fight is a good fight. Both winners, as long as you give your all. So, that kind of felt comforting to me before my first fight, and definitely made me give my all. That's what it's all about.
All right, good stuff. Evan, Mike, thank you so much for your time. I look forward to seeing you guys working together in the ring for a long time to come.
Thanks a lot,
Sure.
All right. Thanks to Sugar. I see you hiding there in the background. Thank you.
All right, Sugar. Okay, brother. Appreciate it.
All right.
I
Okay.
appreciate it.
Guys.
All right.
I'll catch you.